Hi, this is Dan Whitney with the Whitney Law Firm in Towson, Maryland. Today we're going to talk about the issue of car dealer fraud in connection with customer credit applications. So, in this discussion, I'm going to share a story where a car dealership, this was a recent case, a car dealership magically promoted one of my clients from being a stylist, a hairstylist, making $12,000 a year, to an assistant manager making $36,000 a year in the period of about 3 hours. Now, of course, if they were really able to do this, it would be magic. Customers would flock from across the United States at least to come get a piece of this magic and get instant promotions making $24,000 more dollars a year. Of course, it's not magic. It's called bank fraud, credit fraud, car dealer fraud, all those things, and it happens all the time. But the way it arises is this. A customer comes in, they want to buy a car, they write down what their income is on the credit application. The finance manager sees it. They know based on their experience, $4,000 a month is simply not enough money to get a loan here. So very often what they will do is they will change that $4,000 up to a $5,000 because they know based on their experience, bank X, Y, and Z, if we put the income here, you're going to get the loan approved. Now, what happens is it's all good for the moment when the person sitting across the table doesn't know this is happening usually, and they end up walking out with keys in their hand and they get the car they want and they're very happy. Of course, what goes up must come down. And what ends up happening is that monthly payment, they simply cannot afford over time. Maybe they can afford it for a couple months, but eventually it catches up to them. And sometimes it catches up to them right away, as you'll see in this case I'm about to discuss. But what happens is the fraud that occurs when the finance manager inflates that income fraudulently ends up resulting in a customer being loaned an amount of money that they did not qualify for legitimately, and they take on a debt that they simply cannot afford. And what happens is they get stuck with that debt. And loans these days, at least 36 months, you might be going up to 84 months, and a lot of them are, 60, 72 months. So the victim of this, the customer, is going to be living with its consequences for a very long time, and it can often result in repossessions occurring. I've had a case like that. Because they simply can't pay the note that they shouldn't have qualified for. And it can have tremendous negative consequences. Now, it doesn't always end badly. Sometimes if you catch them doing this, it can actually end pretty well for the customer. So in a recent case I had, which involves credit application fraud, a 55-year-old woman went to a local car dealership around here, and she needed some work done on her car. So she brings it in, drops it off. She's sitting in the waiting room at the service facility at the dealership. It's a new car dealership. And she's sitting there for a while, and then the service advisor comes out and says, "Listen, Miss So-and-so, I've got some bad news. Your brakes are horrible, your car's in bad shape, and you're simply, you should not drive this car. It's in such bad shape, you could die on the way home." He actually says something outrageous like that. Your car's not safe. If you drive it, you might die. Now, my client happened to be a physically disabled woman, and she had some issues, and she was particularly susceptible to false statements made to her that she just simply would tend to believe them. She's a trusting soul, which is not good when you go to a car dealership. So she listens to this, she takes it to heart. Many people, like myself and many others, would say, "You know what? I don't care. Just fix the car. I'm leaving and I'm out of here." But she was concerned that this was true. So she says, "Listen, what can I do? I can't afford to pay for all these repairs that I need to do." And the service advisor, and I'm sure there's a warm spot in hell waiting for him, he says, "Listen, everything's going to be fine. What are you paying now?" "I pay $200 a month." "Well, talk to my guy in sales, and he should be able to get you into a new car for the same amount." She says, "Really?" "Yes, really. He's really good." She says, "Okay, let's give it a shot." So she goes and talks to the guy in sales, and she speaks with him. She fills out a truthful credit application. And sure enough, what happens is She provides her true information. It's a long process, and she's sitting there. The salesman takes her credit app, goes, talks to a manager in the back, and comes back. And he says, "Great news. The credit fairies have done their magic." Now, of course, what does that mean? There are no credit fairies and there is no magic. It's credit fraud is what he's talking about, but she did not know that at the time. She was just happy she wasn't going to die driving this supposedly dangerous vehicle back to her home from the dealership. So they get her into the finance manager's office and they have her sign a bunch of, DocuSign a bunch of forms. And of course, DocuSign is an extremely tricky tool that the dealers use because very often they zoom in on the screen, you're docu-signing things you don't even know what it is, and it's just really a recipe for fraud and disaster is what the DocuSign and e-signatures are. But there's more to be discussed about that at another time. So she docu-signs, but before she signs it, she says, "Listen, I want to make sure my payments are $200 a month, right? Don't you worry, Miss So-and-so." "Yes, they are." She says, "Okay." So she signs what she needs to sign. So she leaves the dealership, she gets home. They gave her a USB, which is what happens at a lot of dealerships now. Instead of giving somebody carbon copies or copies, they give them a USB with scans or PDFs of 10 different documents or so. So she gets home and she's thinking about it. And she says, I should probably think about what's on these USBs. She doesn't have a computer. She goes to the library, plugs it in, takes a look. To her surprise, on the retail installment sales contract, her monthly payments are $530 a month, starting in 60 days. She's shocked. She looks through the rest of the documents. To her surprise, she sees her original credit application. "I'm a stylist, I make $12,000 a year." But then she sees the other credit application, which says, "I'm an assistant manager and I make $36,000 a year," which of course is not the case. So she doesn't know what to do, and she does some research, and she finds us, and she gives us a call, and she tells us what happened, and we meet, shows me the USB, we see the credit applications, and right away it's obvious this is fraud, and they have taken advantage of this poor woman and tricked her into taking a loan that she absolutely cannot afford. There's just no two ways about it. She cannot afford to pay $550 a month when she makes $12,000 a year. It's not what she wanted. It's not what was represented. It's not what she agreed to. It's wrong. It's illegal. It's all those things. So what did we do? Of course, file a lawsuit, sue the dealership, and it gets to their attention rather quickly. There's not a whole lot they can say in the situation when you've got the original credit application, then you've got the fraudulent one. Obviously, she didn't tell the truth and then lie on another one. It's the finance guy that did it. So we filed a lawsuit, and fortunately, we were able to work it out where not only did we cancel the transaction, her trade-in, we were able to get her trade-in back, and she had owed about $8,000 on it, and we were able to get enough money back where not only she got the trade, she got cash back, and we were able to get the trade paid off, so she didn't have to worry about her car payments anymore because they paid a premium because they got caught and they wanted confidentiality, and it was able to work out pretty well for her. And of course, they ended up paying my attorney's fees, as happens in literally every case. My dealer clients pay no out-of-pocket fees because we use the Consumer Protection Act and other statutes to have the dishonest dealer end up paying my fees. And it worked out pretty well. But the reason it worked out well is because we were able to catch them with the false credit app and the real credit app, and obviously the two didn't go together. So if you should ever find yourself in a situation where you sit back and you realize, I make X, but my payment is here and something just doesn't seem right, what should you do? What you should do is this. You should, one, look through the documents that the dealership gave you. Is there a credit app? If so, look at it. Is the income on there accurate? And of course, it most likely will not be. If it's not, you should contact the bank. Ask the bank to send you all of the documents that the dealer sent to them and see what credit app was sent to them. Of course, as always, review the finance contract that the bank was sent against the paperwork you were given at the dealership to see if any numbers were changed, any signatures were forged. But if the income is just out of line and it's not your real income, and now you're stuck in this loan that you cannot afford with these payments that are too high, that's something that obviously some fraud has occurred, and you should not have to be held responsible for dealing with that payment or that loan which was obtained fraudulently. And in that case, you would want to find a consumer attorney and give them a call. You'd also want to put the bank on notice and say, listen, bank, I looked at my credit app, the dealership lied about my income, I don't make X, I really make Y, and it's a bad loan. And you put them on notice, which creates an opportunity to end up bringing a cause of action not only against the dealer, but also against the bank, because if the bank knows this is a fraudulently obtained loan and they insist upon trying to collect on it, that opens the door to causes of action independently against them, which can be very helpful in getting these things resolved, getting the car bought back, canceling the contract, and working the deal out. So I hope this has all been interesting and helpful. If you should find yourself in a situation like this in Maryland with credit application fraud, please feel free to call me or go to our website, whitneyfirm.com, and send in something through the site. We offer free consultations always, and I'd be more than happy to look at it. So I hope this has been good. If you have any other questions, please leave a comment, or if you'd like to see another video, leave a comment about that, and I would be happy to make a video on whatever topic I can that's requested. So thank you very much. I appreciate you watching. Take care.